I've been told by everybody up on this roof that they're all off the roof. I am on the roof of exposure 4. Got fire through the roof of the fire building in the entire rear section.
Now remember, given the payday, has he been accounted for? Okay.
610B. That was the Mayday. 610B.
I'm here. We got a fire. 1.5-story, single-family dwelling. Fire shown from the second floor. Give me a second alarm on this.
Coming up to the top floor. I got people hanging out the top floor windows with a baby.
Commercial building. A lot of fire, a lot of smoke. Go ahead and strike a third alarm on my orders on this.
Got people on the front fire escape here with windows vented below them. We need somebody up there.
Yeah, let them know we got a job. I'm pulling up now. Second alarm, I got a 1-story single-family frame. Heavy fire showing from the attic.
So we're using all hands. We got one line stretch, fire on the 4th floor. Second line being stretched. Primary searches are underway.
Welcome back to another episode of Old School, where fire service tradition lives. I love that subhead. I'm Rick Lasky, along with my good buddy John Salka. John, I think we talked about this particular topic a while ago, but I don't think we covered it as good as we should have. You know what I'm saying? And that is, you and I both talk about the go-to guys. You know, these go-to guys or gals. We're always like, we call everybody guys.
Right,
guys
right.
doing.
So get over it.
But,
Right?
yeah. So the men and women out there that make for a successful fire department, that make for a successful company, that make for a successful shift or whatever. But yeah, I wrote about them in Pride and Ownership. You and I wrote about them in 5-Alarm Leadership. The go-to guys, the making of. Let's talk about that, because I think we missed driving home the point a little bit more on how you can impact your fire department, how you can impact your volunteer, your career department, your shift, your group, your company, by simply becoming one of them. One of the go-to guys. You know, you've heard me for years. You know Curtis Burke. Curtis Burke. Curtis, the chief of training down in Pearland, Texas, was up next to us in Lake City for a long time as fire chief. Was up in Illinois, taught us FDIC forever. Took over my end of the program. We were doing a safety and survival program. I love Curtis. I met Curtis and Darren Woodridge as a firefighter. Hard ass working firefighter.
Great guy.
Instructor. And one of the reasons, I talk about being a go-to guy is because that was just him. No complaints. No complaints. Whatever the assignment, whatever the job, whatever it was, he just jumped all over it and he went to work. And he didn't do it for the applause. He wasn't one of these guys like we talk about some of these fire chiefs that have 9-foot right arms, right? Because they keep patting themselves on the back. He just was always when you had something to get done, you turn, you look, and you said, Kurt, and you didn't say Curtis, you said Kurt, and he goes, I'm all over it, boss. That's how. He already knew.
Or it's done already.
Oh, yeah.
Right. I did it this morning. I take a look at it. Right.
And you've heard us talk about Lisa Reed. Lisa from when we talk about from Vaughan, Canada, right next to Toronto. I say this in class. We have an instructors meeting. You and I, 26 of us all together.
Yep.
You and I, all our instructors. We have an instructors meeting, and we come out and get with our groups. So, okay, guys, all right, this is what we got you. What we got to do. And she would go, Rick, Chief, it's done. It's done already. I'm like, Lisa, can you please just let me finish my own sentences for a while? Just let me finish my sentences. I want to feel smart for the day.
I want to participate in this operation in some way, shape, or form. That's right.
And you know what it was? It's because people like Lisa, people like Curtis, and some of the people we're going to talk, you're going to mention in a couple of minutes here, the go-to guys that have been in our career, they're always about 10 minutes ahead of us.
Yep.
They're always about 10 minutes, or as I say, 10 steps ahead of us. Because they're into the job. They're into it, they have the right attitude. And we talk about the go-to guys, the ones you can go to at any project and they'll jump on it. By any project, anybody will jump on the fun project. Oh, let's go do this, we're gonna do it with the Hearst tool. John, you and I've talked about this. Has there been a time where you've got a kind of a crappy project that needs to get done and you look at your aide and you go, so who's on shift next workday? That'd be the B platoon. Oh, geez, God, really? I tell you what, let's wait one more day till C's on, because all they're gonna do is bitch about it when these guys don't.
Or let me use the example of Willie Tracy. Anybody who's listened to me or you and I at all talk about the fire service, certainly in our old school.
I wanted to meet Willie Tracy like you wanted to meet Bill Allen, my lieutenant.
Right. And I've mentioned Willie Tracy's name 1,000 times, only because he was such a great component, such a great partner in the fire service, in the fire department, in the company, in 48 Engine when I was there. He was such a great guy, such a contributor, and a go-to guy, right? And it was just so here's a perfect example of what you just brought up. So sometimes the fun job, sometimes a good guy, and it could even be, hey, we're going to try a new hose hole. Let's try packing a hose a little bit different. Maybe in South Loma Grove or somewhere where I had that ability to do that, right?
Yeah.
That'd be a fun thing. But some of the things are not fun, like you just said. For example, we'll come back from an operation in the Bronx with 48 Engine, and maybe we use the foam, and maybe the foam really didn't work well at all. And maybe the inductor wasn't working well. Maybe it wasn't drawing the foam out of the can. We had the inductor that you stick to the 5-gallon can, right? And so now it's 2:00 in the morning when we get back. It wasn't at noon, but at 2 in the morning. And we get back, and I'm thinking to myself, we'll take a look at that in the morning. What's the chances of us having another foam operation tonight, right? Willie, just put it on the workbench. You working tomorrow? Yeah, me too. We'll take a look at it in the morning. Okay, Cap. I come down at 3:00 for a run, and Willie's in the rig already. Why? Because he didn't go upstairs. Because he was at the workbench, taking apart the foam inductor, looking at the nozzle, trying to figure out if something was clogged, if something needed to be cleaned. He had the whole thing wire brush cleaned. He already had something soaking in gasoline. He was already taking something else apart. I'm saying to myself, there was not even anybody else around. Everybody else went bing, 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 up the stairs, boom, back to bed, shut the lights out, 2:00 in the morning. Willie stayed downstairs on the apparatus floor at the workbench with the lights on, working on something for no recognition, for no extra pay, for no overtime, for no acknowledgement. Nobody even knew he was there except that we got another run. That's a perfect example of the measurement of a go-to guy. A guy that'll do something completely invisible, completely unknown by everybody else. He might even put it back on the rig and say, like, if I asked him again, oh, Cap, don't worry about it. I took care of it the other night.
I took care of it 3 work days ago.
And he might just say, yeah, there was just a little clog. It's back on the rig. And that's all he'll say. There was just a little clog. It's back on the rig. He'd say 5 words. He wouldn't say, oh, when you went to bed, I stayed at the workbench for half an hour. He wouldn't even get into it. You know what I'm saying? So that in and of itself is sort of a description of one of the features, one of the great things about the go-to guy or the go-to girl, the firefighter that's really helpful to you is that they're not there for reward, they're not there for overtime, they're not there for recognition. They're there because they love being there and they love doing the job, even if it's one of the sloppy jobs, even if it was one of the ones that you couldn't get somebody else to do,
Well, and exactly. That was Curtis and all the guys. Gary Apple, for you, we talked about Gary.
I remember,
Gary. Yeah. I always joke about Gary went up to the Bronx to ride out with you when he became a chief state for a while. He's retired. He just retired as captain now. Gary came back, went up there all Louisville and came back all New York. He came back. I think his mustache even got bigger. Shorts, shirt hanging out, glasses on his nose, running the fire, taking care of things for Jerry Wells as BC. But same thing, the guys the go-to guys, you can always spot their rig. 2 ladder trucks or 2 engines parked next to each other, and you look at the one, you go, I know who's rigged. I don't even have to look at numbers. I know who's rigged because it's spotless. Everything is done on it. Everything's ready to go. You don't see them slamming compartment after compartment after compartment trying to find. They know exactly where the tools are. They get off the rig dress, ready to do battle. And then you go back to the firehouse, and they're jumping all over projects. They're taking care of things. Now let me ask you this. You wear me out about Tim Klett. I love Timmy. I love Tim. Just retired as lieutenant on 88 engine.
Just retired. The son of a gun just retired. Not only did he retire, he sold his damn house, packed up his truck, and he left. And he's gone. He went to Myrtle Beach.
Well, but Tim, I mean, we've talked about him. He's in our leadership book. He was one of your many go-to guys. Why was Lieutenant Tim Klett, even before Lieutenant, but why was Lieutenant Tim Klett on 88 engine and John Salka go-to guy?
Right. Well, number one, he was one of my officers. And as a battalion chief, that's obviously who your focus is on. I've said that a million times to guys that were about to recently became, or were even for a while, battalion chiefs. I always said, pay attention to your company officers. Those are the people you need to supervise, not the firefighters, not anybody else. You pay attention to your company officers and the world will be good. The world will be right. So I paid attention to Tim Klett. Obviously, I was a captain of an engine. I was lieutenant of a squad, which is an engine. I used to pay attention to engine work. Now, I'm not saying I didn't know anything about trucks, and there's all those, those jokes in that competition between.
Yeah, we don't have to go there. We don't have to go there.
We don't have to go there. But my point is, Tim Klett was an 88 engine, not my own quarters where I had 45 engine, and I love those officers too. Boy, were they great! But Tim was not only a a great engine officer, but he was a friend too. Now, sometimes that gets in the way. In the case of Tim, it never did get in my way because he wasn't in my quarters. It wasn't like he got any special treatment. And if he did, and there was a pause there deliberately, if Tim Klett got any special treatment, it was because he was a great company officer in a great company. And he knew his job and he never failed. And I knew he never would.
And some of the special, let me interrupt, some of the special treatment, because you tell the stories, wasn't as much, oh, he got something special in the firehouse. We're talking at a fire scene.
Extra work.
When you turn around, look, and there's 3 companies in the street, and you needed somebody right now to get a line to the 3rd floor.
Without a question, I dove right back to him. I'd skip over the 2 in front of him, and they'd be looking at me like, "What about us?" And I'd be like, "Just hold on a second, Tim, come up here," you know. And there was always a couple of reasons. You've heard me tell that story when I was an active deputy. But the point is, I knew what I had. When I saw Tim Klett standing somewhere, I knew what I had, and I knew what I could get done. And he was a superb, and I am not blowing smoke here. He was a superb company officer. He was a superb, I didn't say company officer. He was a superb engine officer, and he was a superb engine firefighter in 69 engine in the heyday.
And that was a busy.
Well, it was one of the busiest, one of the top-notch places. And it wasn't only nozzle handling and hose pulling. No, it was firehouse etiquette. It was a work ethics. It was all those important things, the priorities, loving the job, you know, knowing what your responsibility was, expectations being fulfilled. He learned all that stuff in one of the toughest places in the job. That was a tough place, highly demanding place. You don't ever fall short in 69 and 28. And I never worked there a day, not a shift in my life that I ever worked there. But Tim told me stories about the way things were handled in that firehouse. Excuse me. The way things were run by the senior firefighters and the company officers, the way he was broken in, and a whole generation of firefighters has come through that place. Some have been appointed and stayed and matured and retired from there, but lots of them, went on to study and go into other places. Like Tim went to 88 Engine, carried some of that stuff to 88 Engine, which was already a great place, had its own beautiful, fantastic reputation. But so get back to Tim for a minute. He gets special treatment because he was a guy I know I could turn to in a tough time and short notice to say, "Tim, did you hear that radio message? Get that job done for me, please." And off he would go. And that was the last I had to say to him. I didn't have to check up on him. I didn't have to get a progress report from him. I knew the job was going to get done. And I didn't have lesser company officers working for me, but I met other company officers from other battalions that I would run in with that I didn't know that well, that I wasn't quite sure of their abilities. I knew they were able, but I didn't know how able. And I would have to keep a closer eye on them. It was great to be in a fire where I could just dispatch him to go do something and never think about it again for a couple of minutes until I got something else in place. And then he'd give me a report. 8-8 to 1, fire, main body of fire's knocked down, we're washing down now, Chief. 10-4. You don't need the second lineup, you can redirect them somewhere else. 10-4, thank you, Tim. And I could send, 45 engine or 46 engine somewhere else instead of going up there to give them a hand. So, like I said, and the point you made is so valid. And the special treatment that he got more work. He got more responsibility in fires than maybe.
Yeah, not an ice cream cone. He got more,
not a day off. No.
Exactly. And then carry that back to, like I said, you can spot the rig. How many times you told me about their firehouse? 8838 is 100
throughout the job, well over 100 years old, because I remember the 100th anniversary.
And it looks better.
I was in the 18th battalion.
It looks better than some brand new freaking.
Yes, it does. And you're talking about a place that has the chiseled floors for the horses, so they could get a grip with their horseshoes on the floor. It had the white tile, ceramic tile walls. It had the tin ceilings on the apparatus floor, the brass poles, the gigantic.
Talk about the chiseled floors, real quick.
Yeah, you look where the tires would run on a conventional new apparatus, or with a big the wooden spoke wheels, metal wheels on the old wagons would run, were very small, maybe 3x3 or 2x2, pressed in, into the concrete, so that both the horses and the wagon would get better traction going in and out of the door there. People look at that, they get for the rubber tires. Of course, now the rubber tires roll over the same area that the horses used to stand on. But 88 and 38 have been known forever as one of the most elite, clean, sharp, well-trained, well-maintained apparatus, tools, equipment, everything. Almost an impossible place to get into as a company officer. You had to really have juice and weight and know somebody to get in there. I'm telling you, I never saw a light bulb with a burnt out light on it or a burnt out bulb ever, not once. There were guys there who took it personally, would practically drive in off duty to replace light bulbs and stuff like that. The senior chauffeurs that were there over the years. The firehouse itself is immaculate, cleaner than some guys' homes. It's just an absolute beautiful place. And I got to tell you, I feel bad ranting and raving about it because my other two firehouses, and I had three in the 18th Battalion, were maybe not as well known historically as that place is for its beautiful firehouse and how well it's maintained. But again, two other squared away places. The three Bronx firehouses in the 18th Battalion, I really do believe were the three best firehouses in the Bronx. Other people would disagree, and as they should. Everybody should think that their firehouse is the best. But I would send my boys or my any one of my kids that got on a job to any one of those firehouses tomorrow without a second thought, and know that they were going to be taken care of and trained and well versed and become good.
Why are those three you know where I'm going with this?
Right.
Why are those three firehouses that good? Who sets the tone in those firehouses for that to be for firefighters to be successful?
Right. Those go-to firefighters are the people generally that stay. Willie Tracy's a perfect example. He stayed in 48 Engine for a long time. Eventually he made lieutenant after 9/11. I don't recall how long Willie worked as a lieutenant, for a couple of years, but it wasn't very long. But he spent most of his career. I don't want to give false information, but I think he might have done his whole 20, in 48 Engine as a young firefighter, and then he matured, and then became a senior firefighter. Then he got the seat, as we call it. He got the seat. He was a regular chauffeur on his regular tours, and eventually he made lieutenant. I think it was after I left. But the point is, some of the guys that make firehouses great in the city of New York, and I know it's true in other places other than the FDNY, is the folks that come and stay. The folks that come and become part of the firehouse. They almost become. It's almost like in the military, you have officers, right? Then you have the non-commissioned officers, right? You have like the sergeants and stuff like that. That's almost what these people are. These chauffeurs and these senior firefighters. It's like a whole corps of junior officers who keep the firefighters and the firehouse in working order and in great condition. When new lieutenants and new captains come in, and I don't really mean they break them in, but they certainly do clue them in on how things are done. Hey, Cap, just to let you know, I know you're new captain here. Welcome, blah, 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 blah. You worked a couple of shifts. And here's one thing that we found very successful around a firehouse. Here's what we do at 48. Here's how we do the riding list. Here's how we do this. Here's how we do that. And some captains embrace all of that. Some captains say, "Great, you guys are doing success. Let's stick with the program." Some captains come in and change a few things, and there's always a little resistance to stuff like that. But the point is, these go-to guys, whether they're firefighters, whether they're lieutenants. I think I started to tell you the story before. When I was in the 1A Battalion, I had a couple of guys that were firefighters, senior guys in both the engine and the truck, but more of the truck than the engine, only because just the way it worked out. The chief's car and the truck were on the same side of the firehouse, like one building. And the engine it was a separate firehouse that was connected to the newer truck firehouse right next door.
Right.
So anyway, I ended up banging into and dealing with truck guys more on the apparatus floor because that's where my car was and that's where their truck was. But Todd was one of the great guys in the truck. I just loved him, whether he was making a meal, whether they were inside building something, whether they were cleaning up for an annual inspection. Todd was just a great guy. And I could go to Todd for anything. Todd, what's up, Chief? What's up? Well, he'd show up at the office, with a question or a suggestion or a problem, and it would get taken care of. I would tell Todd, what's going on? Why is this thing hanging off this truck? Well, what happened on that last run? He'll say, I'll check it out. I'll talk to you later. So here's a chief going down, not the captain, not the lieutenant, but down to firefighter and talking to a guy one-on-one about something going on in the firehouse because I knew he was the man. I knew he was the guy that would be able to find that out for me, or be able to fill me in on what's going on, or let me know how it is. Maybe I can help it.
And don't you feel, I mentioned Curtis Burt and Lisa Reed and Gary Apple. I'll talk about Brian Purcell, one of my absolute favorite firefighters. You heard me talk about Brian, the owner, he and his wife of Firehouse Movers, huge successful business because they're good people. Okay. As you see these guys and gals progress throughout their careers, like the Mickey Conboys, and there were people you look at them and you go, if you could go back in Mr. Whoopi's old cartoon, if you go back in his Wayback Machine, his time machine, don't you agree that all the successful officers we see out there today, the chiefs and lieutenants and captains, BCs, were all go-to? I mean, they're pretty much all go-to firefighters. They were the ones that you went to when you needed something done. They were the ones that
most of them showed signs of that early in their career.
Yeah.
And now that's a great point, but I want to make another point, almost contrary to that. So here's another name I'm going to mention. Pete Castellano is firefighter, 27 truck.
Oh,
and
yeah,
bronze,
yeah,
right?
Pete, you're
Pete's a great guy. He's
car
number
car
two. He's
car two.
number two in
On
the
South
volunteers
Grove.
up in South Blooming Grove. We're on the chief.
We had
And
breakfast when
yep.
we came to get the donated ladder truck from South Blooming Grove.
Talk about a go-to guy. You know what? There is no better go-to guy than Pete Castellano. And I've had great guys. I already told you about Todd. I already told you about Willie Tracy. And I go on and on. But Pete Castellano is one of those guys from the moment he gets up, he's doing something. You can't stop him. He's making coffee. He's cleaning up for the coffee. He's cleaning the tool. He's putting the tool up. He's helping somebody raise something. He's doing this. He's washing his car real quick in between. He's always, and I know he's the same exact way in 27 truck in the Bronx. He's always doing something. You never see him sitting down, relaxing with a cup of coffee in a firehouse. He's always up and doing something, moving something, building something, fixing something, repairing something, throwing something away, taking something out of the garbage and fixing it. I mean, he's just unbelievable. And I just imagine the kind of guy he is at the firehouse. And he is, quite to the contrary, not going to be an officer. Not interested in being an officer.
He's a lieutenant.
He loves
That'd be a
being a
chief officer.
firefighter. He's not even interested in being a lieutenant. He's interested in being a firefighter.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
He's even thinking about, different jobs that they're out doing the after life. Been in these, 46 or 27 for a long time. And boy, oh boy, sometimes go-to guys are guys that have no intention of going anywhere and staying right in one place for a long time and retire. Some guys get appointed at the FDNY to a place and retire.
That's John Copeland, Louisville. John Cope's the one. I love him. I'm Marine. John Copeland's awesome. He's the one that came to me when I first got there. We were doing the promotion exam for driver engineer. He came in. Chief got second. Yeah. Look, I'm gonna tell you, I'm not putting in. I'm not gonna test for driver. I'm like, really? You'd be? He goes, he was an acting driver anyway. He goes, no. He goes, I just really don't want to pursue that path. He goes, however, I will be the best. I'll never forget this because I'll be the best damn firefighter you ever had. And guess what? He was one of the best damn firefighters we ever had. And he had no desire. Some guys, and Pete's one of those guys. Pete,
yep.
And
he's got 18 years on the job, and he knows the job, man.
And when so he come home when we were up at your firehouse recently, picking up the ladder truck for Wichita West from South Blooming Grove.
Yep.
I mentioned it 3 times. Shameless story. Anyway, we got up there early, and Bill Pappas, another go-to guy,
Big Daddy.
I love that guy.
Oh, he's
Bill,
my go-to guy. South Blooming
Bill,
Grove,
I love you, brother. That is an awesome guy. But so Bill takes us for breakfast across the street from the firehouse at
Jay's Deli.
Yeah.
Jay's a good friend of the company.
Great. Met those people. Awesome. We're having breakfast and car pulls in. He just got off duty at 27 truck in the Bronx. Pete, there's Pete. And then he takes the crowd with all your guys. All your guys are showing up. Then we go across the street and they're fighting over who gets to show us the ladder truck. So Pete jumps over the turntable. Okay, he's working the ladder, doing everything. And I said, hey, if you have a chance, where's the Windex in Taiwan? He goes, no. Tommy, Joey, Billy, clean those windows. Guys are all over it. Those kind of people create more go-to people.
Absolutely.
It's
contagious.
We did a show called Be More Like Tim, remember?
Yep.
Be More Like Tim. We talked about Tim Klett then. Be More Like Tim. Pete's that same kind, he's that same mold. It's like,
absolutely.
Be more like
in the truck version.
Yeah. See, I'm glad you said that because I know there are go-to
I can't talk bad about the truck when Pete's around. I just can't do it.
but the guy is just, I saw that. I'm like, this dude is just awesome. You got a lot of great guys, but this guy's awesome. But again, and we'll say this again, we're not talking about the ass kissers, apple polishers, brown nosers, sector C kissers.
No.
Those are phonies. They're phonies.
Right. Those are the guys that knock on your door to let you know, hey, Cap, I'm going to start working on the hose thing for you. You know what I'm saying? Versus the guy that just goes and does it.
Oh, the guy that talks all nice to you. I deal with one, even in my volley firehouse, that will talk all nice, all stuff. And then the moment you turn your back, he's like throwing shots, saying shit and stuff like that.
Right.
You don't have to worry about those guys. The go-to guys, they're loyal. Loyal does not mean kiss ass. Loyal. And there are a lot of people that throw the word loyal around like loose change, like friendship. They are loyal. They're loyal to the department. They're loyal to that patch on their shoulder. They're loyal to each other,
right.
And especially the boss. And you know what? They really don't care what you think when they're doing extra projects. You know what? You can say, yeah, go ahead, you can. You know what? Yeah, go over there. Go over there, sit in the corner and fall asleep or get on your phone and play games. I'm going to go paint the tools. I'm going to go do stuff because they have the ownership. They have the pride. It's their firehouse, their ladder, their engine, their rescue, their squad. That's the Mark Venzer at my volunteer department. That guy, I told you, we call him caffeine, right? There's just what a waste of cocaine on that. That guy has more energy. The waves crash out here in the Minnesota Ocean we're looking at.
Yeah.
That's Mark Venzer. They're actually jealous of the energy that guy is just always doing something. He's always painting, fixing, doing whatever. Another guy, Jeff Dillard. He's another guy there. I adore Jeff Dillard. Is just a cool dude. He is just laid back, hard work. He's an electrician, but you know what? His experience level. It's the guys you want, the younger firefighters.
Right, to hook on to.
Yeah, just go, grab a hold. Just grab a hold of their pant leg and hang on, because just hang with them is going to make you better.
And you know what's great? Most of the way when you get there, it's not like I brought any go-to guys with me. It's not like I created any go-to guys. Most of the place I arrived at, I was like, I discovered right away, wow, look at this guy. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. Not that there aren't new guys, not that there aren't guys that eventually evolve into the next newer go-to guy, but there were already guys there, and they're not there to please you. They're there because they're one of the senior guys in 48 engine or 56 truck or 27 truck, and they're there because they love the job and they love the firehouse, and you come and you go. I went to 48 engine. I was the captain for 4 or 5 years. I was gone. There was a new captain there. Luckily, I went to the 18th battalion, and there was a new captain. I think there were 3 or 4 more captains in the time that I was in the 18th battalion of 48 engine. I don't see too many of them at the reunions and stuff like that. Some of them came and left and went on to. Some of them are staff chief now.
But you were in the 18th battalion for
right. So I was still
for a long time.
For a really long time. 16th in the 16 years in the battalion and 4 or 5, almost 20 years altogether, counting the 48 engine time. But my point is, the go-to guys are not there to please necessarily you. They're there to please the captain. And when you leave, they treat the next captain just like you.
And I'll take that a step in a little bit different direction. Yeah, they're there to please you and to do not kiss your head, but to please you. I think, John, most of the go-to people I know are there to please themselves. There's something they need to, you know what? The only way they're happy is when they're taking care of stuff. The only way they're happy is when they're fixing things. The only way they're happy is when they stand back with their arms folded and go, yeah, I did that. I did. I think some of it, you're right. It's want to please her all like me. I never want to disappoint Bill Allen, my Lieutenant Bill Allen. I get nauseous thinking about even saying that I would disappoint him. But I think a lot of the go-to guys and gals out there, seriously, are more worried about discipline.
It's a personality trait.
We talk about pride, right? The definition of pride. I put it in my pride ownership class. Pride is a personal commitment. There is no such thing as proud teams. There are proud individuals that make up excellent teams. Pride is a personal commitment. It's what separates excellence from mediocrity. And here's the most important part. It's not about being better than someone else or them. It's about you being better than where you're at. The bar,
like you being better than you were yesterday.
Yeah, the bar. We talk about we're raising the bar. Well, you're not raising a bar for other people. You're raising the bar for yourself. Like these guys and gals here in Minnesota. What a great group! Yes. Oh my God! We're in Minnesota right now. We just did the Minnesota State Fire Chiefs. Those are the people you look at and you go, you're raising the bar for yourself. You go, okay, I did this. Let's switch that up a little bit. You know what? I'm aiming higher next time.
Right.
Because there's always going to be someone to compete with. There's always going to be someone that's faster. You know what? You bust your ass to be the best you can be. So I think you're right. They are definitely out there wanting to please their officers to go, look, and that, again, please don't confuse us to our listeners as kissing ass. This is, they want to be, they're the little golden retriever puppies that just want to be happy for you. But they want to please themselves. There's something inside of them. They can't be lazy. They can't sit back. They can't take things for granted because it's not in their makeup. It's not in their chemistry. In fact, I think that would make them nauseous. They have to be doing good stuff.
And that's why a guy like Pete really excels, because Pete comes back from 27 truck, and I know how he is there. And I was the same way in the volunteer firehouse for a couple of days. Or he says, what are you doing? I said, I'm working on my damn golf cart. I got a problem with it. He's up my driveway. What's going on? He got a little too big with it. All of a sudden, he's there working on my golf cart with me. All of a sudden, I'm having trouble with my lawnmower. All of a sudden, boom, he's over there. He says, I love fixing lawnmowers. I got my little lawnmower fixing bag. He comes over. He's taking a little lawnmower carburetor apart. All of a sudden, my lawnmower's running. He's just unbelievable. And I read and rave about him because it's a personality feature. It's his personality that makes him want to always be doing something. And his wife said the same thing. Christine, she's like, oh my God, I can't get him to slow down no matter what. From the time he goes and wakes up till the time he goes to bed, he's always doing something, which is, and that's the definition of the go-to guy. That's what we're talking about here today. How beneficial they are to every officer, every firefighter, every chief. Everybody's got a couple of go-to guys that they actually go to and keep their thumb on what's going on, see what's, monitor conditions in a file, maybe hear about people that need help or people that, need a little assistance doing something. Or, hey, can you get something done for me? Listen, somebody's coming tomorrow. I got to get that handrail fixed on the back steps of the firehouse by tomorrow. The commissioner's coming tomorrow to visit. Can we get that done? You got it, chief. You got it, cap. You got it, Lou. Boom, it's done. It's great.
Well, and so we're talking to go-to guys, the making of. So the message there would be, the simple message would be fall in love with the job. You say it, you guys have a say in New York City to the new firefighters. Now that you get on a job,
Get into the
get a job, fall in love with the job. Your volunteer firehouse, your career firehouse, both or whatever, be the guy or gal that when there's a project, especially the not so popular project, the first person your boss thinks of, they look to see if you're there or if you're coming up, whatever, because you know what? You're dependable. You're dependable. You have thoroughness. You see things through. You finish your projects. You're always doing something to make the place better, to make the company, the firehouse, to make it all better. You're not a kiss ass. You're not a brown noser. It's more of a personal commitment to yourself. And I guess who benefits from it? The rest of the people, the officers, the rest of the guys and gals. And you said it. Every successful firehouse has go-to people working it, or go-to every successful company, every successful. Look, there's a lot of firefighters out there that perform just fine, do just great. They show up at their volley place for the calls. They do it. They go home. They clean up. The career guys, they show up right, John. They're on time. They do a great job.
That's the 80% in the middle. Do their job and go home.
And they're good. They're great. They're dependable. You wish you had 1,000 of them, but you wish you had 1,000,000 of the go-to guys because life gets so much easier. In fact, that nervous feeling you get in your stomach thinking he's going to promote, she's going to promote and leave my firehouse.
Oh, how am I going to replace this guy? Yep.
Exactly. So, hey, there it is.
All
you know
right.
what? Easier said than done. You want to do it? Go out and do it. Go out and become the go-to guy. Don't make an announcement. Don't walk in. You know what? All the proof's in the pudding. Show,
Don't tell us, show us.
That's right. It's in action. Show us. Be the one out there cleaning, take care of business, showing up early, leaving late, take care of things, the tools, whatever. Not just on the calls. You're that go-to guy, because go-to guys, the go-to men and women become go-to company officers, who become go-to battalion chiefs, who become go-to chiefs.
Yeah.
If you had a kid in the fire service, who would you want him or her
Riding around.
crawling into a building
That's
burning
right.
with? So, hey, another great episode on Old School.
Absolutely.
All right, we love our Old School. Again, another no script. We just come up with a topic and talk about the go-to. This one, talk about the go-to guys in your department, those men and women that make it all happen. John, I always ask you if they want to get a hold of you. Best option be email, right?
Chief John Salka at gmail.com.
And I'm Chief Lasky at gmail.com. And we ask you, in fact, we do 3 different shows. We do our Hump Day Hangouts with Fire Engineering. We do the Command Post Fire Engineering, and we do our Old Schools. But we end, and because we're committed to it, it's not just a passing phrase, if you will, okay, is we always ask you to please keep the men and women of our forces in your thoughts and prayers. And remember, never forgetting truly does mean that, never forgetting. Thanks again. Spread the word about Old School. We've got some exciting news coming up on Old School in one of our future episodes. We'll fill you in later. Be safe, take care of each other, and God bless you.